Have you ever wanted to pull your interior from your Nissan 300ZX because you either found a donor or you wanted to rewrap some stuff and you're a little intimidated on how to get it out? Look no further. This video we're going to cover how to remove and pretty much reinstall a full interior into my 95 twin turbo 300ZX. So basically I did kind of just do this last video with a whole nother car, except I didn't film like any of it, as you guys know. So here we just did a nice tan interior swap on my old drift car. We got its original interior back in it because we just bought the old car that we put it in as a parts car. Hit me up if you need any parts for your Z32, Instagram, Facebook, whichever. But today we're actually going to be doing the same thing because we got this other parts car over here that is a 92 with the velour interior. And well, the interior was really good condition for the mileage and for what I paid for the car, so I really couldn't beat doing this. Now the reason that we are even doing this is we're swapping this to the pre-94 90 to 93 seatbelt design. So we're actually going to have seatbelts mounted on the door instead of on the chassis, but we're actually going to be getting rid of this peanut butter tan interior. Yeah, I know, yuck. It can be good in certain applications, but in a Z, I think the black, red, and blue look way better than the tan does, let's be honest. So pretty much there's a couple ways you can tackle your interior, at least to get good results when you're swapping it out. Like say you're pulling it to swap it, there is a certain way you kind of have to do it. If not, you'll do things twice because you got to pull some things off to get to other parts. So with this, 3 different points I like to start. Dashboard, start pulling all your dash stuff. Pull your carpet, which granted, to pull your carpet you kind of have to pull your dash unless you cut it under the heater box area. It's not a big deal if you do. Honestly, I do that sometimes and I had to do it on that car. It was a wiring nightmare. And then you have your trunk and your roof. I think we're going to start with the upper portion of the car so we can begin to, you know, just kind of chip away at it, because I've only got a couple hours today. 4-seaters are going to be a little bit different. This is all going to be gauged towards a 2-seater 300ZX, whether it's a just base or turbo model. They're pretty much identical. You can just go ahead and start with your trunk carpet, pick it, and pull it out. Now to remove the centerpiece, you got a couple screws here. And as long as your car is not damaged, you'll have 2 10 mils here. A lot of times people get impatient, pry it off, and break these. Same with all of these. Now we can pull this panel off. Now that opens us up to this 10 mil, which is usually, I think, a Phillips. You got a 10 mil down here. Pry up on this, pull it out. Phillips right here. 10 mil, 10 mil. Same thing goes for over on this side. It's pretty much mirrored, other than that one's tucked down there. So I'm only going to show you one side of the car, so that way you get the idea of the other side. We have this you want to pull out, and this you want to pull up. So you can get it to kind of free up in this corner. Lift this corner out, and this one kind of just snaps into this. It doesn't always want to let go, but it will with persuasion. So pretty much there's that little clip and this clip. Pull your cargo cover off now. You'll have a 10 mil here, Phillips here, and you'll have to pull this, which can be tricky. A little flathead will get it sorted out for you. And you got a 10 mil here from your parcel tray. Just go ahead and grab your other 10 mil, both sides. And then for this quarter piece, all you have left is this Phillips here and a Phillips right here. And for the last one, a Phillips right here. Now we can lift this like that, get it off the stud. That parcel tray will hang it up. Just flip that flat back and you're golden. For the parcel tray, just finish it out with these 3 last screws and your 10 mils from the other side. Slowly work it up. Try not to tear it because these things are super rare nowadays and they're discontinued. So treat it with extreme caution. This one actually still holds its shape, holy cow. We may as well just go ahead and start back here in the back and removing this stuff. So there's a total of 3 screws here holding all this on. Take this and slide it forward. See those little hooks? They just slide into place. I don't recommend pulling these off until you get the hatch strut's disconnected, but all you need is a Phillips here, and then it just has clips around the outer side. So this is when a jack handle or a broomstick will significantly help. 12mm wrench, crack them loose, and I like to take these off while I can hold the hatch, and then when the shock is all limp and laying in the car, we can remove it from up here. These should be started with your fingers so you don't strip them out. Alright, there's one. Now we'll do the other, and we'll come back to the inside. Now we got the hatch struts off. Let's move to the centerpiece here so we can work our way over here, and then to be able to get this off and move up to our headliner. So you'll have a screw right here with a cap you'll need to pop off with a flathead or any other tool that you find useful. Then you have 3 screws up here on the top. And once you have these removed on both sides, slight persuasion required. There we go. Now we've got a 10mm right here. That same bolt or screw that went through here secures here. Your 10mm from your parcel tray. You got a Phillips right here, while also having another capped screw right down here, as well as right here. Pulling this metal tab over here up, prying this side outwards by holding it away from your console. Pry up here to get this off that stud where the parcel tray was. Bend it inwards, pull, pop. The reason you pull and pop is because there's 2 of these clips right here on the side. Now technically we can just kind of yank this trim off, even though it's a little out of order. So we're going to remove the T-top to get access to this panel screw right here, and it'll also help us get the rest of the T-top or roof out. T-bar roof, sorry, whole tongue twister there. So you can see up in here you've got a screw for this quarter panel. We also have to remove this 14mm. Not only there, but you got one down here, here, and right back here. But before you remove this quarter piece, pop this little tab out up here. There's a Phillips in there. That Phillips is holding this piece in, and also this back trim up here holding in your headliner. Squeeze your fingers in there, pull up and pop it off. 14mm. Before you go ripping and prying this thing off, you got a couple clips here that you want to pop out. And then this, you actually want to pry outwards and get this little piece on the other side. Pretty much that's what hugs and holds it on. Now there may be an extra clip up here on this one too. Yep, there was a clip. There we go. So as you see here, this little gasket might get stuck. That's literally all that it takes to get this quarter piece. Well, even though we're not getting to it yet, it may be a good time to go ahead and pull these seats. So you've got 14mm nuts on the back and 14mm bolts on the front. Once you have all 4 of them done, you can lean your seat up and you'll actually have an electrical connector like that. A little pin you push, pull it out. Basically we're pulling this out so we have a little bit more room to work and crawl around in here. So pretty much I'm just going to unbolt this 14mm, remove this like whole seatbelt assembly, and we're just going to transfer it over here into the door, because the door actually has all the mounts for it still, and we'll utilize that. Now that we're on to the headliner, since we took both of these pieces out to get our quarter pieces out, I just want to take it, pry it off. It's got these little metal clips that are pushed over tabs on the body. Once you take that off, you may flop your headliner around a little bit, just pull these little trims off. Take this map light, just pry it to the side. You'll have one push tab to remove it fully. You can use a flathead to pry on the front side to pop it off. Then you have 3 Phillips screws, and to preserve your screws and not lose them, just put the cap on. For the visors, you have 2 Phillips screws on the outside, 1 Phillips screw here. Also, you have a dome light up here, 1 screw. You can slide that out and disconnect. And once you have pretty much everything pulled down, yeah, as I peeled this other T-top thing off, the headliner began to fall. Other than your 1 screw up here holding on the headliner, pull this strip and unseal it from the front windshield. Yep. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and pull this sill panel off, so that way we actually can replace this rubber right here, and we can begin to start putting stuff back on the car. Now, this is really simple. Push it on the lip down there, about where it was. Literally, that's it. If you put it on too high, you can scrunch it down, get it about where you want it, about right there, and we can set it for its final time. Let's go grab a headliner. So basically, when installing your headliner, what I like to do is I like to get it mocked and started up, line it up roughly to where it was. And you see up here, you've got your screw lined up. Then I like to pull the connector for the map light through, pop it up, remount your map light. This will give you a second screw holding in your headliner. Now, as you see, my headliner is no longer falling on my head. It's holding up here pretty much on its own. Now's a good time. You can take your little seal that went around this and we can reinstall. So you see it's got a little lip in here that actually grabs onto this, and you want this outside lip to hug the outside of your headliner to hold it in place. And as you get it started, kind of tap it in all around. It's not really a big deal if you don't get it here on your headliner the first time. You can always kind of come back and pry that back out to get it where you want it. But you don't have to hit it that hard. You can really just literally just set it into place. Now let's grab our cap and we can finish this part off, because we actually have good A-pillars to go on the outside. Like this. And this is always the big flat face screw as well. I guess we can reinstall this cabin light, maybe. There we go. I recommend grabbing a jack handle or something, hold your hatch up while we do this next part. Now we need to install this back up here. Basically, we're going to get the trim started up here on these clips, and we're going to tuck the headliner in the back while also pushing forward. Tap it into place, and that should be done. When it comes to reinstalling this piece, just make sure she's all cleaned up. Make sure you don't got any dirt here that you're going to pin in between the window, and then get the bottom side started and at least lined up where you're going towards the back. Pry out right here, get this started, at least hugging right here, roughly in its position. And you can come back, kind of move this all where you need it, and then set your clips, and just like that, we're all trimmed out. And then we can start reinstalling our hardware. I guess there's one final screw that I forgot. Once you have your quarter glass piece in, you can go ahead and thread in your shocks again, as we're really nearing the point of reinstalling those. It's probably a good time to go ahead and take care of this while we're here. Just kind of pry down, work your fingers over here to this side, pry it, and then slide that part out of the seal. You've just got about 6 or 7 clips, and that's all that holds these in. Grab that old seal while you're here. So I like to put these on first and then do the seal after the fact. Pretty straightforward. Just make sure your clips are lined up, and it should do it. And while you hold your hatch with your head, go ahead and throw your hatch struts back on, and let's begin to re-support our hatch. Now it's officially time to come back and start with the rear interior. We're just going to focus getting all of your studs started in your mounting holes or tabs, and it really should just sit exactly where you want it. Put on our couple 10 mils. Don't forget this bottom one actually has the X panel that overlaps it, so save that. Can't forget this guy up here in the front, or the cargo shade cover. Can't forget that. And now for this piece. Now I guess my tabs broke down here, so I guess that wasn't entirely necessary. Lift your panel, get your tabs started, and lower it into place. 10 mil, 10 mil, 10 mil, screw, screw. And once that's on, take our panel here for our tail light cover access. Oh, unfortunately both of our corners are broken off of this one, but I think it'll still mount just fine. Oh, I just realized we need to do a nice little black interior screw conversion here. I guess we can throw the parcel tray back in here. There's no reason that we can't. Still matte uncommon, so unfortunately I'm not gonna have a black one to put in here, at least for now. Yeah, much better. I can't say I'm gonna secure it yet either. I don't see the need to do that. Let's actually go ahead and grab our carpet. They cut this out for the battery relocation over there in that car because the battery's in the trunk. So unfortunately that means we're indefinitely gonna have to find a new one of these because that is not gonna cut it. Man, that's terrible. We are just going to put these pieces in. They're not gonna be there permanently. Just like that, we got that all in. So I may have misled you guys a little bit. Wait to put your parcel tray in until you get these three, because you actually have to bolt them down here across the top underneath the parcel tray. Even I still goof up, and I've done probably 20 plus of these, so don't be too hard on yourself. Now we've got pretty much the finisher here for this back portion of the car, and that is for your headlight, aiming tools, and your ABS cover. Halfway done. I'm gonna call this halfway done because the whole headliner portion is very annoying in the grand scheme of things. It's not a big deal to take your dash out or apart. Hour at most. Now for the final part here for the interior, I know I didn't get my mirror up, but we're not really gonna use that for now. Pretty much same thing as the T-tops. Push it on and let the outer lip cover the headliner, and that's gonna make up the trim up here in the front. This one can be a little tedious to put up sometimes, so take your time and just take your time. Like this time, my literal arms are so tired, but we've got it on and we're officially out of daylight. Let's go ahead and we'll catch back up with you guys tomorrow. Let's get the rest of this interior done. Well, it's been a couple of days and we just got back from vacation and it's perfect time to get back to work. I know it's only been a couple seconds for you guys, but we're actually going to start on some door panels today. And unfortunately, since this car is such a wiring nightmare, I put the jump pack on and I'm getting no power up there to actually roll the windows down. The reason why it stinks that we don't have power is so we can roll these windows down. To get the screw off of this B-pillar trim, we have to just pop this out, potentially break the screw boss up here, just to get access to the two 10 mils to hold the door panel on up here at the top. So we did already pull the switch out. You got a couple of screws here on the bottom. As far as this goes, pull your handle back, just pry back on this little housing and pop it out. To remove this piece, you got 3 screws. To remove this, 2 screws. You've got 2 screws here, 1 screw here, and your 2 up here. Then you should be able to pop it off, and it just has like panel clips like this. Maybe not, they're all non-existent here. Pull your cap off right here, just pry it up, and you have a 14 mil holding this in. Since we can't remove this correctly, we just have to pop it off, and you can see right there, there's one of the 10 mils. We might be able to access that. And it actually appears we can pull this one back far enough to be able to get that, and we shouldn't have to even remove this. Well, we did actually just manage to get both of those out, so it's not exactly end of the world if it does come down to that. Now let's just pull each of our screws out and then remove our plastics. Now when it comes to pulling this part off, I always like to kind of just pop it out first, snake it behind the door panel. Now once you pop all of your clips off, it's going to lift up to get it off the ridge here and pull it off. So let's pull our other one off. The only difference here is we actually have this handle, which if you can't just get your fingernail in here to pry these covers out, you can just grab a flathead, pry them out, and then you've got Phillips down in there. As far as this goes, just pry it back, pull it up, out, and you have your same two screws down here at the bottom, your same 3 here, and then those 2, I guess I forgot, I can show you here. So let's pull this off. So we got the door panel off. Let's get to reinstalling some door panels. So this is going to be a little easier for me because I don't have the seat belts here, so nothing's going to get in my way. But when you reinstall your door panel, All you really are focusing is getting it caught on the upper lip of the like window or seal area. Kind of slide it into place, get your screw mounts lined up here, and you'll pop all of your panel clips in. I think there's about 6 or 7 along the whole bottom or edge of the door. Fortunately, we don't have those, and it doesn't matter because all this is going to have to come off due to my seatbelt situation. But I still want to mount this here in the meantime. Oh, I just realized we forgot to change our door handles too. Womp womp. Now we're going to take this and we're just going to kind of put it into place for now. We only have one spot we can actually use. Don't forget your 2 screws down here for your seatbelt. Pop all your clips in, pull your handle out, slip the trim or finisher in, and then just pop it into place. Now to finish it off, let's install our window switch. Put this in first, and you can press down back here, and then you have your 2 screws right back here. Now we pretty much have our full door panel installed. Now let's show you guys how to remove and replace door handles. We're just going to leave it bolted in for now. And there's actually a little lever here you can see that's connected back here via linkage to your handle itself. So we're going to pop this clip off, pry it, and then we're going to pull the lever out. Now that's disconnected. We're going to pull our lever back, remove the 10mm screw. You'll slide this forward because it has these 2 little locking mechanisms to like locate it and lock it into place. Now we have another one of these style clips right here, which is this red clip. We're going to pry that outwards and it just plopped out of place. It's the same kind of thing here, just lift it up and pull it out. First and foremost, we're going to insert our lock lever. Push it in here. It's best to lock your actual handle to stick it out more. Push that in and then clip that on. We can put it up here, slide it into place, and that now has given us access to put our 10mm screw in. And last but not least, you've now swapped your door handle. Now let's go ahead and knock this door panel out. We're pretty much going to do all the exact same thing, the 2 door handle screws being the only exception. Now we got this panel all mounted up. Yeah, I do need to go grab some B-pillars. I just can't remove those ones, you know. Let's clean out the rest of the car. Let's get all this extra tan stuff out, and then let's continue with our dash. So we got it cleaned up for the most part. So I've actually never myself pulled an airbag dash model. It can't be that much different. It just has to have a connector here for this airbag once we pull it off. We'll just start over here. Never had one stuck like that before. For this piece down here, there's going to be like 4 plastic screws inside of a plastic grommet, and as that screw goes in, it spreads out to keep that piece from falling out. Basically, you want to get your fingernail under that screw as you twist it out with a Phillips so you can keep it from staying in. Once you get all 4 of those off, that panel will come off. And then you have your glove box hinges exposed, which are 2 10mm. I'm not used to this. I feel like there should definitely be a stop here that seems to be broken. But there is usually a little stop up here that connects here into the glove box. This is for all like pre-94 cars. Only like 94 and up, or maybe 95 and 96 had these. The rest of them didn't, and there's just a screw there. You'll remove it from the inside of the box, push it over to the side, and then pull that out. Now it's probably a good time to go ahead and pull your radio out. You'll have 2 little covers up here. Pull them off with a flathead. Don't drop them in your defrost or your vents up here. Then you have 2 Phillips screws. Use the flathead, pry that off. 2 Phillips screws there. And then when you pop this off, you'll actually have a connector back here for your clock. Lift that out. Not really on my menu right now of stuff to do, but the radio and stuff will have to come out. Just 4 screws here. Then you can slide that out, disconnect all your electrical connectors. And now we're here to our shifter trim. So pull this out. You'll have a Phillips, as well as here and up here. If you have a manual, remove your shift knob so you can actually pull your shift boot off. Pry back and then up. Lift this up. And for now, we're just going to move it over and disconnect your electrical connectors. Now we're done with the shifter. We did that to get access to this. When you go to remove this, you can pull it out and slide it up. The reason being is there's a little tab down here that locks in your center console piece. That gives us access to the glove box frame. So basically there's going to be 2 Phillips here on both back sides. We've got a Phillips up here. On the early models there's a 10 mil up here. 10 mil, 10 mil, 10 mil, 10 mil. So it actually appears that this model is different and this corner piece comes off before this. Usually this over here mounts here and down here, but it actually looks like this comes off first. On early model cars, pull your bracket first and then you can access this. You have 2 screws here on the side. Sure enough. So now our bracket should come off. You'll have this footwell light down here as well. You'll want to disconnect. If you have an early style car, 90 to 93, there's going to be 2 bullet connectors that come up here to a light for inside your glove box. You have a 10 mil over here on the side, 10 mil down here. So now you want to take a flathead screwdriver or a plastic pry bar if you have it, and you'll kind of want to work your way up here. Don't pry too hard on the fold just anywhere. Just try to work the screwdriver under and pop the clips up. Wow, that came up very nicely. Very lucky. Does not happen often by any means. If you have auto controls, when you pull this one out, you're gonna have a little ambient like sensor up here. This may be the sunlight sensor. Once you get your defrost vents out, you actually have a bolt right here, here, and the same spot over here. Now I recommend using just like a 10 mil on a ratchet with an extension. The extension helps it for some reason because it gives it a little bit of flop. Just make sure to keep your hand in between the glass so you don't mess your glass up. As far as this model goes, there's 2 right here, but early models there's just 1 down here in the back. It's a good time to move on to the driver's side. Now over here, first and foremost, as always, Phillips. You got 2 screws here in the top for your cluster hood. If you have like an airbag only here and not over there, you have a different one than the chassis with an airbag in both. We discovered that the hard way helping Prism Mike out over on his car, and we actually learned a few other things, but now we get to fully educate ourselves with this chassis. When those 2 are out, lift up and pull towards you. When those 2 are out, lift up and pull towards you. For these pods, you have 2 screws here underneath on both sides. Outwards, slide it down, hooks, bracket. So you actually have to pull your hazard here when it comes to pulling this off. Now you'll have 2 8 mil or Phillips bolts, Phillips screw, and another screw here up top. Just separate it from this piece here all around. Both housings are off now. Now pretty much just take your 10 mil. We're going to remove these 2 up here. Now just keep those off for now. Now we've got a 10 mil down here, here, down here in both corners. Now also, before we remove this, you'll want to remove your clamshell. So you got 4 screws holding the clamshell 2 halves together, and you have 2 screws here in the center that actually hold this to your steering column and pull it apart. Now when that's off, you can just pull out. There should be 2 clips here that hold this in place. Now if you have a 1990, this is going to be different from any of the actual airbag models. So basically you're going to have a connector instead of these up here. You're going to have a connector, I think it comes out down here, and it actually plugs in right back here. For the 2 Phillips, once that's all unbolted, pull it back. You'll have a connector over here, and then you have 2 over here on the driver's side. Once you have all 3 of them out, remove your cluster. As far as up here goes, you have a 10 mil bolt right here. You have 2 10 mils right here on the front. You have this 10 mil over here. Can't forget about this piece. It's the same as the other side. You got these 2, and then you've got 2 right here holding it on. Sometimes I just pull this in first, push it down, and then it gives me all the room to pull the panel off. And also, this is your door chime. Unplug that. Now you should be pretty much disconnected wire-wise. Actually, we still need to take my radio out. And just hope you don't have a big old Viper alarm box like me. Thankfully, I already chopped most of that out. Now the dash should be pretty loose now. So there are two clips up in the corner. There we go. Now you can snake all your wires through here. Never mind, the airbag is not connected to the dash at all. This is just a cover that blows off. Okay, that's kind of neat to know. Pretty much the whole goal is to get this started up. You can angle it up enough to get it over your steering column. It's realistically your biggest obstacle. Pretty much this vent over there that goes to the door is always the holdup. Our dash is now fully removed. Now we can pull both of these little corner pieces. Now it's much more accessible. You'll have a screw or a 10 mil screw sometimes up here in the top, 10 mil screw right here, and then your screw right here from the sill cover. A bit like that. And now in theory, you really don't have to touch anything up here. If you want to pull your carpet, you can pull this little cover down here, or this little HVAC vent. You pull that, you can kind of see where the carpet goes all the way back. You can just cut a line up here along this, kind of running up here to this, and pretty much chop the whole centerpiece out. If not, you can pull these two 12 mils, remove this bracket, lift all your wiring and stuff up here for your head unit, and then you can slide it out, which honestly is probably what we're going to do here. Cutting it makes installing it and removing it so much easier, and no one's ever going to know. Let's move on to the seats. 14 mil bolts. You can tilt your seat back. And there's a wiring harness somewhere, but it appears there's not on this one. Now let's pull both of our seats in preparation for the carpet. Now we did just pull all of our back panels out here just to give us a little bit more room so we have some access. There's going to be a Phillips right here, here, underneath your carpet. You have three. Just lift it up. Other than removing and swapping these little rubbers, we're nearly finished up. A little kick trim. So you're going to have two 10 mils up here, and then you also have two Phillips screws here in the side of this panel. There'll be two holes. Kind of pry your carpet around it and it'll pull its way through. You want to pull this part of the carpet back because for this little kick panel, you actually have one 10 mil or screw right back here. Now in combination with removing the other door sill, just pop this up once you have all your bolts out, kind of pull it down and past your hood latch, and then it'll come outwards. There is this little piece of the kick panel of the mount that will get stuck in your carpet. We actually have our gas pedal dead pedal, and this is held in by one Phillips screw. That's literally the last thing. It's time to pull the carpet out. So now we're pretty much ready to go, with the exception of these little floor mat holders. And you just pull it up and out. But when it comes to pulling your carpet, pull it up, get it around the base of your handle here, and then just lift straight up and you can pull it out. Now you can replace this via these two 10 mil bolts now, instead of when the new carpet's in, when you forgot, because it's much tighter to do. So now that everything's loose, we're pretty much just going to start by pulling this here in the center. So you want to make sure all your carpet is pulled up on the side and isn't still like adhered to the floor, because these are kind of glued. At least they have foam or backing on them that really likes to stick. Peel it out from the inside like that, so it's no longer stuck. Same thing over here. Lift this up so it doesn't get hung up. Now you should be able to pull on the center, just like that. It's completely removed from underneath the heater core. Just kind of pull in this corner get it pulled up. And then what I actually like to do is take this in, fold it to the other side, and attempt to lay it on top. Now we're going to grab both of these hard plastic pieces, and we're going to work it the rest of the way out. And with the exception of a little camera bop, we're now officially gutted of our tan interior. Don't mind these, we'll get to that at the end. The T-top trims, that is. Wow, that really took it out of me, I'll tell you what. So, we're not getting any of this back in tonight. We're gonna focus on this tomorrow, since we have to do a little bit of a modification to our dash bar and delete some airbag stuff. But I wanna show you some A-pillar stuff. Since my A-pillars are already removed, I thought it would be a good time to show you clip locations. You got a clip here, here, and this side slides in. This is towards the dash. You also have two clips up here at the top, which these are very common to break, especially like this one. So basically, when you take the cap up here by the T-top off, you want to reach in and pry this base with a flathead, or if you have like plastic trim tools that you can remove this stuff a little bit more easily, be very, very fragile. That plastic in there is known to get hot and brittle over time and in turn cracks when you go to remove it. So we'll be back tomorrow to officially put the rest of this together. And sorry for being such a terribly long video. This is gonna be like an hour-long video. Well, it's the next day and I'm really excited that we're finally able to move on with this. So we got our dash bar changed out and that wasn't really as much fun as I anticipated. And we swapped over this little heating and cooling piece so we can actually use the vent through the dash instead of the one that goes down here. We got everything swept up and everything is now ready to install our interior again. I'm not going to go over all the bolts and nuts and stuff that like where they go and whatnot. We're just going to put everything back together. You guys took it apart. I'm sure you can figure it out how to put it back together. If you got a couple bolts and screws left over, just means that you did it better than they did from the factory. As long as you just get one side all tucked in, it's easy peasy. So it looks like I actually completely forgot, but I actually cut this carpet. So it's probably going to go in a lot easier than typical. I actually cut it on the other car because there was just way too much stuff. Just watch out for your dash bar. That thing will catch all of that and tear it all up. Make sure if you got wires for seats that you feed them through. For some reason this model doesn't have them at all for the passenger. It's so weird. Make sure you get your studs through for your seat. Then you can set it all down. The driver's side can be a little tricky just because you don't have all the room to like flop everything around. Since we have this cut in our heater core box, we're just going to feed that part through. It's behind our pedal box or gas pedal. That's mainly the biggest issue. Don't forget your seat plug. And last but not least, your fuel and hatch door lever. Our carpet's in. Nice. It actually looks pretty good in here. Pull your e-brake up. This helps installation a little bit. Make sure to tuck your carpet in on the edges and make sure it's not folded out. Now's the best time to go ahead and reinstall these three back panels, as we have our carpet up here now and we don't have to worry about tucking all that in. Got them all replaced, all secured, and we even got our parcel tray bolted down, and we've got both of our ABS covers or headlight aiming covers all in place. So pretty much the car is starting to look pretty solid when you look at it towards the back. We're actually going to go grab a passenger seat to throw in here so we can get that over with. And I still haven't decided on my driver. I think I want to replace the one that was in here. So now that the dash is ready to go in, we're actually going to install a couple pieces before we do that. So when you put this in, you want to tuck it back behind this because it will get caught. And I just remembered, we forgot this piece. Just transfer that on over. Two screw holes, two up there, and then for right here, you can go ahead and put your sill panel back on. And then you have 5 screws in that. Now we can go get our dash. After we do this side too, obviously. Don't forget your dead pedal. So when we grab the dash, we're going to bring it from the passenger side, and our first focus is getting that little outside edge over here to hook around the steering column so we can actually pull it into place. Once we get it up into place, feed both of these wiring harnesses through, and don't forget your sensor up there for your defrost vents if you have it. Should be all the wiring. Once it's in place, you got everything pretty much lined up. Give it a nice little push and pop in those clips on each side. Now you got your 3 bolts up in the top. You've got 1 down here in the center, 1 up here behind your cluster, 2 right here underneath your cluster fascia, 1 in each corner on the bottoms and your sides. So let's put all those bolts in. Now that that's all bolted down, let's begin putting the rest of this in. So before you start here with anything, you actually have to put this on with this model. Since I had the older model previously, I didn't have to put this on first. And then our bracket here is going to go over top of that, and it'll hold it on. And once that's on, you can take your trim, line it up on the edge, pop it into place. When installing your bracket, don't forget to plug in your footwell light. And this is that one little thing in the glove box that I didn't have before. If yours fell off, it didn't. I took mine off, so I forgot to put it back on. There's a couple little like notches here that you want to pop it through on that are like locating tabs. As far as the rest of it goes, bolt, 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 screw, 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 bolt in the corner. That's it. You can take your little locating tab here, tuck it in your console, and then push it into place. 2 screws. Then there's actually 2 10mm bolts over here that have the plastic caps that go on them, just like these 2 10mm. Put your little tab in here on this, turn it sideways to get your little stoppers inside. Usually I'll just kind of click it in place and then fold the 2 hinges down below where I want them. I will tighten it into place. So that way it's about where I want it and you can adjust your gap this way. So now for your lower piece, you can put it into place and then push those 4 grommets through and tighten your plastic screws and just pop it into place. The same goes to this side. Oh no, I forgot we're missing a little chunk up here. So we're going to start with our cluster. And you've got 2 up on the top, and these actually are what go to your warning lights. Now run each of your wiring harnesses down here, so that way they can go into your pods and be free from the cluster. Now at this point, you can actually screw in the bottom of the cluster. Now your cluster surround can go on. Feed your wiring harness up through, get it about located, pop it into place. Now you can put your 2 bolts up here in the top. I guess now is a better time than ever to do our pods here on the side. Little screw up top, larger screw right below it, and then your 2 8mm or Phillips bolts on the bottom. And you have 2 Phillips screws up here to hold it in place. And as long as your hazard switch still works and isn't bound up, you're good to go. Just plug in your 3 connectors, then hook the top up on your hazard switch bracket, and then put your 2 screws in the bottom. Voila. Pretty much the same thing on the other side. We can take the cluster hood, place it into place, install our 2 screws. We can now put this defrost vent in over here, and then our 1 10mm screw here in the back. Now is the perfect time to finish out your clamshell. Align your bottom one, don't leave your keys in like me. As you line them up, focus one side, get it aligned, and do the same thing on the other side. Install all 4 of your screws and then your 2 anchor screws holding it to your steering column. And install your key ring. Time for the under panel. Psych. Install this over here. 2 screws, 2 screws. And now we can finally put this panel on. You'll have a 10mm bolt in each corner. And almost last but not least, we have this side panel. I will hook up your connections here on your shifter or shifter trim, and then as you install this, pull it back to tuck these up here to get them started. If not, when you force it, it can cause it to break like someone already has here. Just kind of setting it in place here. You got 2 screws at the bottom and a screw up here on each side. If you have a clock right here, there will be a connector down in there, just kind of fumbling around. Then you have 4 screws here, and then you have 2 plastic covers. And you have a long trim piece right here. I'm not really sure where that is or where it went. We have successfully swapped a full interior. There is one final thing for me to show you guys. That is how to remove and change out these T-top covers. Garnishes, I meant to say. These are considered T-top trim garnishes. You've got 1 screw here holding this handle trim on, and you also have to remove this lever. And all you literally do for it is pry up on it and it pulls off. You have a screw here on the end, and you have a screw on this end. Now you should be able to wiggle it back and forth, pop it out. You may have to pry it outwards a little bit because it'll kind of pop into place down here. And as you get it loose, twist it to come off with the handle, and then you have your full trim right here. As far as the T-top covers go, pretty self-explanatory, the same way that you remove them. Now if you're wanting to swap your handle over, this is pretty simple. You have this little C-clip right there. You just pop it off towards you, push this through, and the same thing goes for this C-clip down here on the lever. I actually don't have any of my flatheads over here to be able to do anything like that, or let alone picks. So unfortunately, I'm not going to get that done for this video. However, pretty much our entire car is done. And just a little bonus tip for removing this. When it comes to removing the screw for the top back here, you can just pop this cap off to get access. Now I believe we've covered about everything as far as swapping your interior on your Nissan 300ZX. If there's anything that I may have forgotten that you want or need to know, drop it in the comments below. Just let me know. I get back to about every comment eventually. There is a lot of them sometimes. So we're now fully furnished with the exception of these pieces, our door handle, and finishing our T-tops and whatnot. We've got some sourcing to do. The other one has broken handles, so we can't use that. Plus those T-tops are going on another car, and those ones are tan anyways. I have to say it looks pretty good. Better than the tan for a twin turbo. Yeah, I know. I'm still super bummed. We got to find a parcel tray or make something happen with the parcel tray. We could go with the Ionic Dynamics. They actually came out with the black version that is already carpeted, so could be good to go. I think we're gonna wrap it up here, you guys. I really think I covered nearly everything there is to know, at least on a 2-seater for a interior swap. 4-seaters I covered like 2 videos ago when I was getting my car ready. Man, these bees are bad. Doing my subframe stuff, I had to pull all that out, and I did it to try to fix my speakers at the same time. So if you need any leeway or direction on how to do that, feel free to check that video out. But for now, we're gonna have to wrap it up here. This video is probably an hour long at this point, and I'm kind of embarrassed to upload that. For those of you guys who made it to this point, I appreciate you. Thank you for watching, and if you're not, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe down below, and stay tuned for the next video. Until then, peace.